Nate, we got some good news for regarding former running back Marshawn Lynch, okay? The man, the myth, the legend, the one who used to eat Skittles on the sideline, the one who said, I'm only here so I don't get fined. That man right there. That man, Marshawn Lynch, okay? Marshawn Lynch is now part of an ownership group for the USL Oakland Roots. That's what I find very interesting. He actually has a quote right here. He says, and I quote, growing up in the town, we always could count on the pro teams in this area, but with most of those ones that I grew up with gone, I knew the minute I heard about the opportunity to join Oakland Roots, it wasn't just something I wanted to do, it was something I had to do. In case people don't know, Marshawn Lynch, he ended up retiring. His first retirement was in 2015, but he returned to play for the Oakland Raiders in 2017 and 2018 before they moved to Las Vegas, and he ended up playing a little bit in Seattle before officially retiring. And this is a quote from the Roots co-founder and CMO, Adris Arkandawal. I'm sorry if I said that wrong, but he said, and I quote, "From the start, we have tried to build an ownership group that was excited about more than just pro sports, but also about Oakland and our purpose. We couldn't be more proud to welcome someone who has long been an inspiration to Oaklanders and all of us at Roots." Excuse me. The Oakland Roots were founded in 2018 and played their first 2 seasons in the National Independent Soccer Association. That is the third tier league of the United States professional soccer system. In September, they announced that they would be joining the USL Championship in the second tier. And Oakland opens up the season May 8th against the Phoenix Rising. And before I pass on to you, Nate, this article was written by Kyle Bonagura, ESPN staffer. So I'll start off with you first. Your thoughts on Marshawn Lynch joining ownership in USL's Oakland Roots?
Obviously, congratulations to Marshawn Lynch, beast mode, on becoming joining the ownership group for the USL's Oakland Roots. Yeah, Mario. I mean, I think this is personally a good thing. Like I said with a lot of things, a lot of players becoming owners. I love that idea. You know what I mean? Especially in Oakland's case, and here's why I say that. Okay, like Marshawn Lynch said, a lot of these teams are gone. The Raiders the Raiders have been, believe it or not, the Oakland Raiders have been in and out of Oakland for a while, or the Las Vegas Raiders, let's just say now. When they first came into the league, I'm pretty sure they were the Los Angeles Raiders, and they went to Oakland, then they went back to LA, then they went back to Oakland, and now they're in Las Vegas, where hopefully, they can permanently stay there. I would hope so, because they have a $2 billion stadium on the Las Vegas Strip. But that's that. But I can't remember what other teams. They lost the Golden State Warriors to San Francisco. They're playing on the Bay Area now, and they're on the verge of losing the Athletics, Mario. Because let's be honest, that Oakland Coliseum has served its purpose. It's a very terrible stadium according to a lot of reviews, and I believe it. Just looking at pictures of it, it's very, very outdated. And that's why the Raiders even left to begin with, because they just weren't getting their stadium, and Oakland wasn't getting them a stadium. And that's what's going on with the Athletics. And if they don't do that with the Athletics, you don't get them their stadium, the A's could be out too. And to be honest, I think Las Vegas is the perfect landing spot for the Oakland A's. But that's a whole other argument for another time. But look, I like how Marshawn Lynch is trying to keep these teams intact. Because like you said, all these teams are moving. They're moving away from Oakland because they're not getting their new stadiums. You know what I mean? As much as we all love the Oracle Arena, that place was dated. It needed a replacement. The Coliseum is waste. It's served its purpose 20 years past its freaking prime, for crying out loud. You know what I mean? So to keep a guy, especially like Marshawn Lynch, who's a native of the city, it's a very, very good idea to try and keep the team in town. You know what I mean? And the team's relatively young, like you said. The team started off in 2018, like you said, right? So the team's relatively young. You know what I mean? So obviously they're not going to move the team that early. I mean, that sounds like a 60s thing to do, but, hopefully they can stay in Oakland. Hopefully he can actually help this team out, be successful in the future, and I do hope he does do that. So with that being said, best of luck to Marshawn Lynch and best of luck to the owners, best of luck to the Oakland Roots, and I'll pass on to you now, Mario.
Yeah, well, first of all, congratulations to Marshawn Lynch. Look, I love Marshawn Lynch. Marshawn Lynch, I think, is one of the funniest and most charismatic players I think I've ever seen in the NFL. Mm-hmm. Okay? He just don't give a damn. He'll eat Skittles on the sideline. He'll wear his own merch, and he don't care if he gets fined. And and again, he's just a great human being, too. And people forget, because because like we see a lot of goofy things about Marshawn Lynch, you know, like about like we see a lot of stuff like and we look at him and we're like, wow, this dude's so funny, he's so charismatic. People forget how smart this man actually is. Marshawn Lynch is a very, very smart man. He handles his money very, very well. He coaches, I know he coaches like a youth football team, or he helps youth football players. I believe I think he owned like a fan controlled football league too. One of the teams in the fan controlled league, right?
I'll look it up. Hang on.
Thank you. So yeah, so now him owning the Oakland Roots. I think this is great for Marshawn Lynch because he's always been going back to his roots. He's always been doing that. He always does community service in his community and everything like that in Oakland, where he's from. So I absolutely respect this from him. And not only that, like you said, I'm glad that he's keeping these teams intact because he talked about how a lot of teams that he grew up watching ended up leaving, you know, and he didn't see them again. So I'm glad that he's trying to keep these teams intact, to keep sports in the Oakland community. I do respect that because I think Oakland is a great place to have sports, you know? And like you said, Golden State, the Warriors ended up going from Oakland to San Francisco. Raiders ended up going from Oakland to Las Vegas. So yeah, Oakland, they really had a tough time with sports, but I'm glad that Marshawn Lynch is going into kind of the ownership group to keep that team intact because they are a relatively new team and people would like to see that team stay in Oakland so they have more sports in Oakland. So, you know, with that being said, you basically covered everything I need to cover. I wish that man, that myth, the legend, I wish Marshawn Lynch all the best of luck. Keep being him. And I'm curious to see how the Oakland Roots are going to do with him in the ownership group.
Right, and to answer your question about the FCF, he was gonna play for a team, but he ended up backing out. So that's when it ended up happening.
So all right, my bad.
So
I thought you owned one.
Nah, you're good. I didn't even know that either myself. But with that being said, you know, best of luck to Marshawn Lynch. You know, he's a future Hall of Famer right there. And yeah, I'm curious to see how this is gonna go.